Hey guys, so this is part 3 in my video series of my cube collection, and we're talking about 4x4s. So this is my Rubik's brand 4x4. This is the first 4x4 I got. Now it's interesting, my brother and I both bought Rubik's brand 4x4s at the same time, and they're a little bit different in terms of the internals. My puzzle has these tracks on the pieces. I'm not going to pop it out and show you, and I'll explain why in a second. But it has tracks on the pieces, and that sort of keeps it in place. But because of that, if something's a little bit out of alignment, when you turn it, you can turn it such that this piece is now above the tracks it's supposed to be going into. And so that can make it a problem. So you've got to, you can snap it back into place or whatever. But so you have to be very precise. It's a little... Yeah, I don't know if you heard that little snap there. Let's see. Yeah, that was it snapping back over and back into the track it's supposed to be on. But so it does not cut corners at all, and it's got to be perfectly lined up to turn. But it's not a bad puzzle. It turns okay once it's lined up. But it's not. You're not going to speed cube with it. But it's not bad. My brother's, however, because of him not having those tracks, his is very loose and it locks up all the time and it's awful. Mine's at least still a decent puzzle. And then one of these, the reason that I'm not going to take any pieces out is because one of these center pieces on the blue side, this one, the top part has broken off from the stock, and so I've had to re-glue it like 4 times to get it to stay together, and every time it'll work for a while and then it'll pop off again. But because of that, it's really hard to get it back together without it breaking as you're trying to pop those pieces in. So I'm not going to take it out. But all in all, it's not a bad 4x4. It's not as bad as the Rubik's Cube 5x5 from what I hear, but it's not a very good one. Much better and much cheaper is my LanLan 4x4. This is the second one I got when this one first broke before I fixed it. It uses the same ball core mechanism that this one does. But this one's very smooth, very light. It requires almost no force to turn. It's super, super smooth and super, super light. The only downside is because it's a ball core mechanism, there's really no corner cutting. But it's not going to get popped out of alignment like this one is in terms of the pieces not being in the tracks. It's just going to lock up and you have to fix it a little bit and it doesn't want to turn. But it's really not a bad puzzle. It tends to overturn though because it's so glidey in its turns, and that gets frustrating. But if this one's a good 4, this one's probably a 5.5 or a 6. Okay, I've also got an Eastsheen 4x4. This one's great. Eastsheen puzzles are really well designed and well constructed. They're very smooth. They're very held together. They're very light. They don't take much force to turn. But Eastsheen puzzles cannot cut corners very well at all. It's just a function of how they're put together. There's no spring, so they have to be tight enough for everything to stay in. They have to not be able to cut corners very well. But it's a very smooth puzzle. It's very well constructed, and I'd say this is a pretty decent 4x4 for anyone to get who's trying to step up from a Rubik's one to a better one. This one's pretty sweet. It is a little bit smaller than the Rubik's brand 4x4, and I think this size is the standard size. That's what my LanLan is too. This one, Eastsheen's are a little bit smaller. I think this one's 6.5 centimeters, and this one is only 6. Right, this one would be 6.6 centimeters, and this one's 6. Now, a knockoff of that puzzle is this puzzle. This is a YJ Promo Edition 4x4. That's very important, so remember that. So this is an exact knockoff of the Eastsheen Cube. The internals are the exact same. It's a straight-up knockoff. This has this normal, slightly textured matte finish YJ tiles. I don't know if I said this with QJ before. This is YJ, Yongjun. This is pretty crappy. It turns really easily. It is a little more forgiving of overturns than the Eastsheen one, but it's very loose. You can I don't know if you can hear it rattling around there, but it's a very loose puzzle, and it tends to get locked up a lot, so it's not the easiest thing in the world to solve, and it also can tend to pop sometimes. So if you're going to get one of these, get the Eastsheen. It's not that expensive, and it's a very high quality puzzle. The plastic's good, the construction's very precise and very good, it all fits together the way it's supposed to, and it's very smooth turning. This is a cheap knockoff of that. It's very crappy, it locks up, it's a little bit faster, but what extra time you or what benefit you get from the turns being a little bit faster, you're going to lose at all the lockups and pops and crap. It's not a very well put together cube, and you can feel that. It just feels loose and not very good. Now the upgrade to that is the YJ Speed Edition 4x4. Now this one is the 6 centimeters of the Eastsheen brand. This is the standard 6.5 centimeters. So it's bigger, so that's how you can look for it, because not every store tells you which one they are. Usually this one's $10 or less and this one's a little more. So if it's $10 or less, it's probably the promo edition. Don't get it. It's crap. If it's more than $10, maybe get it. It's still not the best puzzle in the world, but at least it's better than this one. This is awful. Yeah, so this one is bigger though, so if you can, they won't always say that it's the promo edition or the speed edition, but the better one is 6.5 centimeters or 6.6 and should be higher price. The crappier one is 6 centimeters and is lower price. This is a knockoff of what is assumedly the V-Cube mechanism. It is the V-Cube internals. Since V-Cube has not made their 4x4 yet, we can't say for sure that it's a knockoff of the V-Cube 4. But it's basically, if someone looked at the V-Cube mechanism, especially the 6x6, and was like, well, how would they make that into a 4? And that's what they did. It locks into place in for the center 2-layer turns just like a V-Cube. If you pull it apart, it looks just like a V-Cube on the inside. But yeah, but this puzzle, it's not bad. The outer layer turns are fantastic. They're very smooth, very light, very easy. There's nothing bad to say about them. They're great. The 2-layer turns are really fast. They're really loud. But you do run the risk of them getting out of alignment if you do it really fast. I don't usually have a problem with that, but usually if I'm going like that fast and just solving it and not worrying about being careful, it'll probably lock up once or twice. But it's easy enough to fix that. You just sort of pull the pieces apart, look where the screw is, and grab it and put it back. Or just turn it until it pops itself back in. This is not a bad puzzle. It does not. I haven't had it pop on me yet. I haven't had it lock up. The only problem is sometimes that middle layer gets out of alignment, but it's easy enough to fix. And the outer layers are great. The sticker quality is the normal V-Cube stickers, or the normal, Yongjun stickers, so they're pretty sweet. So I'd recommend this puzzle. I think I got this one for about 20 bucks. It's probably not worth 20 bucks. You can get better 4x4s for cheaper, but if you are a collector and want to have one from every company, if you're going to get a YJ 4x4, this is the one to get. And I'm sure you could maybe do Me, Myself, and Pi's Pi mod on this, the one that he designed for the 6x6. And then it would probably be a pretty sweet 4x4. It's still not going to be the best, but it's not bad. It's way better than the other YJ 4x4. Last but not least, I have this puzzle. Now, this is a QJ Mini 4x4. It is about the same size. Actually, it is the exact same size as the Eastsheen puzzle, so I guess that's a mini size. I've heard some really good things about this one, and my friend got the speed cubing pack or kit from Amazon, which was a YJ 2x2, a YJ 3x3, and a mini QJ 4x4. And I played with this QJ 4x4, and I loved it, so I had to get one. So this puzzle is actually pretty sweet. The turns have a very crispy feel, and it's hard to explain what exactly I mean by that, but it's a very light, smooth, lubricated, snappy. It's just a very crispy feel. It's hard to explain. It's very fast, and the 2-layer turns are just as fast. The only problem is it is one of those 4x4s that because it uses a ball core mechanism in the center, it has to be lined up perfectly. It'll accept about a third of a little cubie of corner cutting, or maybe a half of one if you're careful, but you've pretty much got to have it lined up. But it's very fast, it's very light, very easy to turn, very well held together. It's a great 4x4. I'd recommend this. I think this was like $7 or $8, so it's really cheap and it's pretty sweet. Last, I've got a QJ pillowed 4x4. Now this is made from a standard sized 4x4, and then they just pillowed it down. It's not bad. It's not very pillowed. If you look, it's almost a full 4x4. It's only got a slight pillow here. It's sort of like a rounded square instead of an actual, more like spherical pillowed shape. But it's pretty good. It, again, uses the ball core mechanism. So it can't really cut corners, but it's still pretty good. It's very light, very easy. It tends to tends to not be hard to turn it properly. It'll tend to jump, turn right where it's supposed to instead of overturning or underturning. So that's good. And yeah, it's not bad. It's really neat having a pillowed 4x4. I tend to think pillowed puzzles are neat, even though they're not as fast. So you can solve cubic ones faster. These are still really fun and really neat. And yeah, I think this is just a neat novelty to get. I have the pillowed 5x5, which you'll see if you watch my next video. And at some point, I plan on getting the pillowed QJ 3x3 as well, just to have the set because they're pretty neat. But yeah, this is not a bad 4x4, aside from the pillowedness being a little weird. I guess it's not legal because you could see, I can see these two collars right now because it's pillowed, but whatever. But I'd recommend getting this puzzle. It's pretty fun. It's pretty neat. It's not going to be your best 4x4, but yeah. And last but not least, one back here that it looks like I forgot. My Diane plus MF8 4x4. I don't know if you can see the logo. Yeah, but this is a pretty good puzzle. Out of the box, it was awful. If you watch my unboxing video that I got this puzzle in, it was super stiff and super hard to turn, and it was just not good at all. It was like a dollar store cube in a 4x4. It's also a little bit squishy. I feel like MF8 puzzles tend to be like that. But I had heard that it was not very good out of the box, and that it got better once you broke it in and tensioned it, lubed it, and all that. So I took it apart. I adjusted all the tensions, the inner 2x2 ball, and the actual tensions for the shells of that hold these pieces in. I adjusted everything. I lubricated everything, and I put it back together. And as you can see, it's pretty sweet. It's really fast. Even the two-layer turns are really fast. It can cut corners, almost a full QB. Well, usually it can. Of course, now that I'm recording the video and I'm trying to show you that, I pop a piece, but it usually can cut just about a full QB. Maybe about half a QB or 2/3 of a QB. But it's not bad. It's really not, despite that. And it does, that's one of the problems though. It can pop. It's really easy, especially back when it was still really tight, or if you loosen it up a lot. When the puzzles, yeah, it's hard to explain, but you would go to turn it, and that edge piece right there that I'm touching would pop out. It's not as easy to do that anymore, but you can still pop out a piece like nothing. So you do have to be sort of gentle with this, but because it doesn't take much force to turn, you don't need to be rough. You can be gentle and still be really fast. So this is probably my best 4x4. Once you get used to the feel of it and break it in and tension and all that, it's super smooth, it's super light, it's super easy, and it's really fast. And I really like it a lot. Again, it's probably my best 4x4. It is the standard size. I've heard that the mini Diane plus MF8 4x4 is even better. So I'd be interested to get that at some point, maybe in white, because I do tend to prefer white puzzles, even though, 3 of my 4 4x4s are black. But yeah, so if I had to recommend my best puzzle, this one is my best 4x4. Followed probably closely by the mini QJ 4x4. And then maybe, oh, I missed this one. I just realized I totally forgot to talk about this one. This one's my Sheng Shao 4x4. Like all Sheng Shao puzzles, this one's great. It's super light, super easy to turn. It has that distinct Sheng Shao feel. It is a little loud. Sheng Shao puzzles tend to have that springy sound to them. But yeah, this one's fantastic. This is actually probably tied with my Diane plus MF8 for best 4x4. This is a mini size, the same size as the other mini ones. But it's a really fantastic 4x4. It will cut corners a bit. It's very forgiving, and it's just super fast and smooth and light and well constructed, and it's really easy to get great solves on this. So yeah, I guess I really should go in order instead of being like, oh, I'm going to grab this one and then pick these and then those, because I almost forgot these two, or this one really. But yeah, so those are my 4x4s. Thank you guys for watching, and I'll see you in the next video where I talk about my 5x5s.